are joined by Eliot Shorr-Parks. Eliot Shorr-Parks, sponsored by Cozy Jewelers. Step up to the fifth C. That's color, cut, clarity, carrot, and cozy. Eliot Shorr-Parks, 94 WIP Eagles reporter, joins us now. What's going on, Eliot?
What up? How you guys doing today?
What's up, Eliot? How you doing, man?
Doing good. I mean, look, that was a great song to come back to. The only thing that made it better was the smooth voice of Tom Kelly on top of it.
The smooth voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't you want to hear Tom Kelly rap his part of his intro song? Wouldn't you love to hear that?
Absolutely.
He needs to rap that part. You need to rap that part, Tom.
I'm in. You guys want me to do it? I'll do it.
We've all sung on air. They do Creed at 5:30. Hugh sang Crazy a few years ago. I think the least you could do, Tom, is rap the part of
What have you
song.
ever sung on the air, Eliot?
I sang Backstreet Boys yesterday with Spike
you did?
on there.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. So you're salty.
Wow. Yeah, you just...
he kind of
he checkmated me very quickly.
I
there.
did. Yeah, no disputing that one.
Yeah, no, there's nothing I can say. Nicely. How'd it go, though, Eliot?
I mean, it was beautiful. How do you think it was?
What song did you sing?
He said,
I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys.
Okay, all right. I didn't know it was I Want It That Way. You just said Backstreet Boys, so I didn't know which
It's a
song
great
choice.
song.
Is that the one? Is that your go-to karaoke song?
Nah, I wouldn't say that's my go-to karaoke song. I don't know if I have a go-to karaoke song. I feel like Wagon Wheel maybe would bring the house down. People love that one.
Wagon Wheel.
Bring
That's
the
a good
house
part.
down.
Never heard that. What is
Oh,
you
I'm
would
sure
love
you've.
it.
I'm sure you've heard it.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle will play it. Coming back from the next break, but
Will I?
that
feels like a me decision.
Kyle does not like to be told what to do.
Kyle
does not like to be told what to do.
feisty today, very feisty. But we'll see. Maybe Kyle will do it if he feels like it. But Eliot, we're 6-2. Eagles at the bye. Just your assessment of the first half of the season and where this team is, and what the first half has kind of done. How do you feel about where the team is right now?
Yeah. So I definitely think the team is in a better place, and I feel better about the team than I expected to after 8 games, especially with how the season started, how I thought they looked in training camp. I mean, after that loss to the Giants, there was a real chance that I don't think it would fall apart completely, but if you consider the history of teams coming off of winning the Super Bowl, how this team, in 2023 went through that slump, or collapse, I guess better way to phrase it. I think the fact that going into the bye week, they're 6-2. I think they're in good shape. I think they're improving. They're obviously getting healthier. So I feel much better about the team. And, I actually think in some ways I feel better about the team now than I did at this point last year. They have more of a pedigree this time around. I think the passing game is better than it was really all year, but especially this time last year. So I didn't expect to be here, but that's how I feel after 8 games.
Well, and one of the things we've been talking about today, Eliot, as I forgot to turn my microphone on, is the hierarchy in the NFC. And obviously you got Green Bay, 5-1-1, Detroit, Bucks, all those teams in the NFC West, all in kind of similar spots here. Where would you rank the Eagles right now in the NFC?
So I think that you can certainly make the argument they deserve to be in the top spot. Won the Super Bowl last year, have a really good record, have a really good resume. They have an MVP candidate in Jalen Hurts on the roster. So I definitely think, putting them at the top spot is not like a homer, green eyes goggled view of it. But I also do think Detroit is probably playing better than the Eagles are. I think the Green Bay defense is probably a better unit than either of the Eagles units right now. I don't have as much faith in the Green Bay offense, but I think those would be the teams that you would look at and say, that they're right there with the Eagles. But the good news is the Eagles get a chance over these next 2 games to go out, improve themselves against them. So I think the Eagles at the top spot is a good argument, but I think Detroit and Green Bay are right there with them.
Right now, how do you assess the play of the quarterback? Look like he's starting to come out a little bit, starting to hit his stride a little bit. So how do you assess the play of the quarterback, Eliot?
Yeah, so I thought the first month of the season he wasn't very good. I thought he held onto the ball too much. I thought he turned down chances for big plays down the field. He didn't turn the ball over outside of the really bad interception against the Giants, but I just thought he was the reason the passing game was struggling. But the flip side of that is I think he has improved dramatically as the season has gone on. Was really good in their last game against the Giants, was debatably perfect against Minnesota the week before, who's one of the best passing defenses, if not the best passing defense in the NFL. But I thought even before that, the passing game showed some signs. The loss to the Giants was obviously a bad one, and Jalen was was not good in that game, but you saw signs of the passing game turning it around. Against Denver, there was some missed opportunities there where he was very close to a 300-yard game. So overall, through the first 8 games, I think Jalen would probably get like a B minus, but I think that he is certainly like trending up as the season goes on.
Eliot, trade deadline coming up next week, and obviously we'll get to the AJ part of it. We talked a lot about that. But as far as positions the Eagles could be looking to upgrade, where do you think the top priority is right now for Howie Roseman?
So I think it's that second cornerback spot. I know the edge is something, we all talk about. And look, they could certainly go out and add at edge. It wouldn't surprise me if they added a backup offensive lineman, just like someone with more experience and they could lean on a little bit more, especially now if they really want to do the 6-man line, the importance of the backup becomes even greater because if Fred Johnson were to be injured, you need someone to step in and do that. So I think backup offensive line and edge are definitely possibilities, but I also think corner, it'd be easier to expose that second corner than it would be to expose a bad pass rush because the pass rush really, like the interior has been pretty good. You're getting Nolan Smith back. We'll see what he's able to bring, but he's at least coming back, I would think against the Packers, if not definitely against the Lions. And then Brandon, I would assume, is going to play against the Packers. So you're getting guys back there. At corner, you're really just depending on Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. And through 8 games, I think Keely has probably been like slightly better than he's given credit for, but I don't think either has shown they're somebody that in a playoff game you want starting against some of these awesome receiving cores that they'll probably be going up against. So, with the second corner, offenses can really target in and like pick on that spot. And so I think that's a bigger need heading into the deadline.
Well, one of the guys we just talked about a little bit in the last segment, with the Steelers, their defense is kind of a disaster right now. Darius Slay not having a very good year. Say the Steelers were to put him on the market. Is that a guy you think the Eagles would have interest in?
Yeah, I absolutely would. I would have interest, and I would think they would have interest. Now, he is not, to your point, like the player that he was 2 years ago. I think coming back to this defense, coming back with Vic Fangio, being around guys he played with for a few years, you might get a better version of him. Also, Quinion travels now with the top guy, so Slay would have more advantageous matchups. I do think contractually for the Steelers, I think they gave him $10 million. So it would be tough to trade him, but, if he's gone after the year anyway and they're not pleased with his play, maybe they just view that as a sunken cost. So I think Slay would be welcome back in the locker room. I think his leadership would actually be really good for that defense. I know we talked with Brandon coming back about him being a leader, but I think Slay would check that same box as well, and Slay didn't retire. So I think, he'd be able to come in as a more active player and really be that leader. So, yeah, I don't think the cost would be much. Maybe a 5th-round pick or something like that. So I would have interest if the Steelers were willing to do it.
Eliot Shorr-Parks joining us now, and we'll get to the Sixers in a few minutes here, Eliot. But I need to ask you about A.J. Brown. Obviously, it's been the hot topic. Next week, trade deadline, A.J.'s name has been mentioned in discussions. What do you think the odds are that something ends up happening with A.J. being dealt?
Prior to the deadline, I would put it at 15%. And I would put it there just because I can't predict how AJ might feel, right? Like, if AJ just decides that he wants out and there are teams around the league, telling him, we're interested in trading for you. Now, obviously that would be tampering, but we all know that goes on. So that would be the 15%, where I think there's a small chance that maybe he just decides he wants out. That being said, I would be surprised if he did that. It doesn't strike me as AJ's type to demand a trade out. And I think they would only trade him if he demanded a trade. I don't think the Eagles are eager to trade AJ Brown. If a team called up and offered a huge package in terms of a player and a draft pick, and you could help this team while also arguing you're helping the team for the future, then yeah, I think they would consider it. But I don't think they're eager to move AJ. And because of that, I would say the chances are pretty small.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the general sense that everybody gets as well. But 15%, I mean, it's certainly not nothing. And, how has that changed from the beginning of the year, Eliot? Obviously, it wouldn't have been thought about at training camp that this would have been a possibility at all. How much has your thinking changed kind of since then?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed quite a bit. If you would ask me prior to the season, would AJ be on the roster in 2026? Then I think there was a real discussion about, one more year, we'll see what happens. And because there has been, obviously, I think the frustrations with the passing game are nothing new. There's obviously been, the talk of the relationship between him and Jalen. So, there are reasons to consider that he could have been moved after this year anyway. But I think the in-season thing is just the amount of smoke that there is right now. I think teams believe he could be had if they offer a huge, collection of picks and players, and that changes things. And I also just think his frustration, you wonder if the Eagles would be more willing to do it. So prior to the season, if you would ask me, leading up to that home opener against Dallas, the chances I would have said he was traded in season maybe would have been 2%. So it's definitely gone up based off everything that's happened the first half of the season.
Yeah, and Eliot, wanted to move over to the Sixers now because obviously off to a 4-0 start here. Incredible performances from Tyrese Maxey leading the way. Just your overall impressions of them so far, and how excited are you for this team?
I mean, they're awesome to watch. And that really, I know that sounds simplistic, but after such a painful year last year where they were so terrible to watch, and really even the 2 years before that, they were contenders, and, there were games where Joel was awesome, but I don't think they were as likable as this team. Watching Maxey, watching VJ. And I think the most exciting thing about this team is it's the beginning of something, right? This is not a championship. It's not like a true championship contender. Of course, anything could happen, but they're not a true championship contender. This year can end really without winning a playoff series, and I think you could view it as a potentially very positive year. And it's just nice not to have the weight of expectations on this team after so many years of it being you have to get out of the second round. They never show up in the playoffs. Will Joel be healthy? None of that was fun towards the end. And I think this team is fun now. So it's just refreshing to get to watch them.
Now, and you talk about the expectations, Eliot, and that's one of the discussions we've had today a little bit. But when you look at this team, are you raising your expectations at all? Do you look around the landscape of the Eastern Conference and think this team could be a legit contender?
I think they could contend in the way that Maxey's unbelievable. VJ's been awesome. They're 4-0. So, I know it's obviously very early, but, special seasons normally start like this. So who knows how at the end of the season where they will be in the playoff seeding and all that. But I'll tell you this, it does not matter to me one iota how Joel Embiid or Paul George play this year. I hear everybody say you have to have them to be a serious contender. That's not the way to view this season. The second you need to depend on Joel or Paul George, you have missed the point of this season. This season is about Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, McCain, Grimes, in the building of the next core of this team. Is there a world where they're in the playoffs, Joel is healthy because he's played limited minutes, the East isn't that good, and they make a run? Of course there is, but I don't think that should be the expectation. So raising expectations on this team, I think, is the exact wrong thing to do.
Well, it should be fun. They're obviously off to a good start. That's been good to see. But Eliot Shorr-Parks, back with Go Birds evenings tonight, correct, Eliot?
Absolutely.
It won't be long now.
Well, I got to get Hugh one of these weeks, but we got Devin Candy tonight, so we'll do mid-season awards. Yeah, excited for it. So 6 to 8.
Oh, nice. There you go. So Eliot Shorr-Parks will be on with Devin tonight for Go Birds evenings. Eliot, thanks for hopping on, man. Appreciate it.
Yep, talk to you soon.
All right, take it easy. Eliot Shorr-Parks.